Hey guys, welcome to the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Dr. Kori Propst. And Kori, I think it was in our Diet Doc Program Owner Forum, I'm not sure, where all of our program owners around the world get together and chat every day and support each other. But we were talking about the difference between positive and negative motivation. And everybody, initially has this little binary, like yin or yang, one is good, one is bad. And you, of course, jumped in and said, no, stop, time out. There's some value to each of these. And I love that. I think that's something that people really need to hear more of. So, we could be motivated by something that's super duper positive, and we know psychologically that does help us move forward more. We talked about this a couple podcasts ago. Yeah. But there's still some value in negative motivation.
Totally. Yes. So I had a client who listened to a couple of our podcasts recently, and she said, I came away from one of them feeling like I was on a high. I was super motivated, and super motivated I feel free now and relieved, to move forward. And then she said, and then one of them made me feel super low, down low. I got angry, I felt defensive, I felt embarrassed and pretty ashamed, because what I heard, I saw some of myself in what you described, and I did not like that at all. So she had this experience where she wanted to run. She wanted to run straight towards this relieving feeling, she was super gung-ho and motivated after hearing one, and straight and run so far away from that other thing as she possibly could. So really motivated to move. But I got to thinking after we were talking about it, for it to be really functionally motivating for her, she couldn't run from what she didn't want to face. She couldn't sweep it under the rug, go to bed and pull the covers over her head, shove her head in the sand, however you want to describe it. She couldn't run away from it to avoid it by not looking at it. Yes, let's avoid that. Let's run as far away. Let's use binge eating as an example. Let's run as far away from binge eating as we possibly can, because we never want that in our lives again. But in order to do that, we can't act like it doesn't exist. We can't avoid it that way. So there's a quote by Nietzsche that really sort of connects this well. And it goes, shedding one's skin. The snake that cannot shed its skin perishes. So do the spirits who are perceived or prevented from changing their opinions. They cease to be spirit. And, if we want to become the people that we want to become, and we want to let go of the characteristics or the behaviors or the mindsets that really are creating dysfunction in our lives, we have to be willing to take responsibility, take ownership, and literally shed our skin. And that can't come with ignorance. It can't come with running away from something to avoid it and not look at it. We have to be willing to look at it straight in the eye and reflect in the name of growth.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the character strengths and virtues in that, and we've talked about this kind of tangentially in the last couple of episodes, but faithfulness, loyalty, I stand firm and I'm resolute, and that means unyielding, unchanging. And a lot of people look at that and say, yeah, that's an amazing quality, but it's the opposite of flexibility and open-mindedness. And if you have one without the other, it's not much of a strength. And there are a lot of great memes and videos and parodies going around between the boomers and the millennials, because the boomers are like, just rub some dirt in it. We fought World War II, quit being a fucking baby. Sure. And then the millennials are like, their little safe spaces and, oh, don't trigger me and la, 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 I can't hear anything that I disagree with. And it's like, we do have those two polar opposites in those generations. And it's funny to see people pick a side and literally make fun of and villainize the other.
And it's not necessary, nor is it going to work incredibly well when you just pick a side that way. Both of them are attempting to feel safe. The thing is when I hear something like that, I'm like, you guys have the same freaking motives. You're both trying to feel safe and secure and not have any uncertainty. You get that, right? You're just trying in different ways.
And the difference, so the reason I picked that example is, the boomers are typically the more negative oriented people. Like, you don't want this, so you better do that. And then we have all of the, people who've been parented by helicopter parents and bulldozer parents. And so they've never had to, everything is roses and sunshine over here.
Unicorns.
Yeah. And again, it's just, that's what happens when you take one of those values to such an extreme and you forget the other side of that trait.
Yeah. And so do you think, Joe, that the remedy for that is what? Contemplation, reflection, ownership, responsibility?
It always comes down to just emotional intelligence. We like to use that word self-awareness now as kind of a substitute for emotional or social intelligence. And it's just to do the whole Dr. Kori Propst thing. If I've learned anything from you in the last, 12 to 15 years, it's to sit back, to think, to question your intent, question other people's intent. If you feel like, you're quote triggered by something, and not just impulsively react, because that's what I see people in conflict do. Yeah, they're making those assumptions and they feel threatened by the other ideology, instead of both of them saying, yeah, you know what, you got a point there, and maybe I should listen to that. And then the other person says, yeah, well, I get you too, and now I understand that better. It's just, why are we losing this in our society?
Yes.
Like personally and socially, we're just losing the ability to just sit down and talk and learn from each other.
Agreed. Well said. Yeah.
All right. Well, Kori, you're on a roll, man. We've had some awesome podcasts. I appreciate this very much. And you guys watching and listening, thanks again. Every once in a while, I like to remind you to drop us a review. There was a company I was working with recently, Kori, who came into my house. They did some work, and this guy, the maintenance guy, left, and he said, if you give us a review here in these 3 places, for every review you give us, we'll give you a $50 off gift card.
Oh.
And cool. I don't have anything to offer you guys right now. Maybe we'll do that soon.
That's a good idea.
But if you would, that's how important reviews are, because companies know, unless you start getting that social proof, that you're not going to be considered. And we want this information, especially from you, Kori, to help a lot of people. So you guys who have not reviewed us somewhere yet, drop us a review. Tell people why you think this is worth their time. And we'll see you next time in the Life Mastery Podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.